You're such a creeper.
How about something like, and whichever, are you listening? All right,
Okay.
You ready? In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to our wedding. We're so glad that you've joined us for what will be one of the most special days of our lives. While all of you know one or both of us, you may not know how we first met or how we got here.
And with every story, there are always two sides.
Mine?
And the truth.
Would you like to go first?
No, go ahead.
Thanks. I still remember the first day that I saw Amanda. She had brought her class to Channel 5 where I worked, and I was actually getting ready in the makeup room, and I saw her and her kids walk by. I'm pretty sure that it was at that moment that she saw me and thought, I have to have a piece of that.
So I hear Jared just told you something about I was mesmerized with him the first time I saw him at Channel 5. Please, let me tell you the real story to that. I did indeed take my students there for a field trip, and yes, we did really see him in the makeup room. But I was not love-struck by any means. And actually, one of my third grade students looked up at me and said, "Miss Blunt, why in the world is that guy putting on makeup?" Not something I wanted to have to explain to one of my students. At that time, I did not say, that is the man I'm gonna marry.
And then I really don't remember, there's a little bit of a dispute about who asked who to be friends, but according to Amanda, we had mutual friends on Facebook. Personally, I think she just used that as an excuse, but anyhow, she friended me on Facebook. She friended me on Facebook.
Yes, Jared and I did officially meet on Facebook, but he kind of lied about that too. We did indeed have mutual friends on Facebook, but it was him that asked me to be friends.
Liar!
And then we started chatting back and forth, and then the smooth talker he is, which you all know he loves to talk, asked me for my phone number and said that it would be a lot easier for us to talk back and forth if we were doing it over the phone instead of being on Facebook Messenger.
And we started talking there, then we started texting, then we started talking on the phone, and eventually we went to church together. And started hanging out after that.
So we started talking, and he did ask me to go to church with him, and I did. And then church was followed by a lunch date and a couple of dinner dates and movie dates. And then he decides to tell me one day, "Just so you know, I'm not interested in dating you." Where did that come from? First of all, I thought we were just friends, and I just looked at him and said, "Who do you think you are? I don't want to date you either." But then after that, he just quit talking to me, and the friendship went down the drain. He quit calling, he quit texting, deleted me from friends, and yes, even made his sister Heather defriend me on Facebook. That's the truth.
Then we drifted apart for about a year, and then she called me up, needed some help with a project that she was working on, and we started talking 3 to 5 hours every night again, and so I kind of took that as a sign. Apparently it was not, because I wrote this really sweet note, wrote her a card, put it all together, took it to her work at the school nearby, Channel 5 where she works at Tillis, and left it for her. She texts me and says, "That just made my day." And then she calls me that night and says, "You know, if you had only caught me a day sooner, I agreed to go out with this guy and I really want to see where that leads." Ouch.
Several months go by and we didn't talk, and we started talking again, and we did spend several hours each night talking on the phone because I needed him. I needed his help. So of course I was going to sit there and talk forever on the phone. But anyways, he does tell me that he has feelings for me, and he brought me the present and all of that, hoorah that you heard, and it was sweet. But I mean, I was dating a baseball coach. I wanted to see where that was going to go.
So, as devastated as I was, I waited it out, knowing it wasn't going to last because we were totally meant to be together. And so, finally, we kept talking, hanging out, and she agreed to go out with me. Then she broke up with me. Then she went out with me. Then she broke up with me. Then she went out with me. And I said, "This is it."
Well, he was also right about that wasn't going to go anywhere, and it didn't. And we started dating, and I was nervous. And I think from the first time, I thought he was different, and I wasn't ready for that. So it did go back and forth. He says 5 times, I only broke up with him 3.
So a few months after that, we were at my mom and dad's house on a Sunday, and we just kind of started talking about marriage, and that's really kind of where we wanted this to lead. And so I figured it was something that we were going to talk a little more about. So she calls me the next day on Monday and says, hey babe, I really feel like I'm supposed to go look for a dress. So she calls me and tells me that she's bought a wedding dress. And in my head, I'm thinking, who does that? Who goes and buys the wedding dress before they've even been proposed to?
And I did have a feeling in my heart that I needed to go buy a wedding dress, and I did. But he was ecstatic. He was ecstatic that I was going to agree to marry him. He wasn't nervous. I don't know where that came from.
But of course I say, babe, that is so great. I am so excited. And then I hung up the phone and had a panic attack.
And the wedding dress, well, you're about to see. It's beautiful, and I'm glad I went when I did. And then he proposed on July 31st, and it was a sweet and the best proposal that could have ever happened. And that gets us to here.
Got it together, and finally, eventually proposed to her, and now we're finally here at this day. And regardless of which version you choose to believe,
we're ready to live happily ever after.
Well, we'll live. And now for the wedding.